Hey everyone, Duke Nukem 3D here with another mask in my collection, and this is one that's actually been on my bucket list for quite some time, and that is the United States M45 Land Warrior gas mask. I'd actually gotten this pretty recently in a trade deal with one of the members of the Gas Masks Reddit Discord server, and I'm very happy to own this. This is actually my first time handling an M45, and it's very different from the standard pattern of U.S. gas mask design. So why don't I get a little bit into the history, which, forgive me if I'm rusty on, I haven't been brushed up on my modern U.S. masks in quite some time. But anyways, the M45 was developed sometime in the mid to late 1990s originally as a part of the SIPE program, I believe, and that eventually developed into the Land Warrior program. Again, details are rusty on me, so forgive me, I'm probably getting this entirely wrong. But it was developed intended to replace the M40 and MCU2P masks in service. It was sort of what the M50 was supposed to be today. However, due to complications with the contractors and the M50 Joint Service General Purpose mask coming out around 2008, 2009, I believe, this had a very limited and short service life. I do know that, like I said, there were several companies that were contracted to make this, and one of them, the main one, eventually went bankrupt due to some sort of legal issue. Again, the details escape me, but very few of these were produced, and I don't think they're produced anymore. I could be wrong, but these were like I said, these were originally intended as a not one size fits all in the literal term, but they were meant to replace basically virtually every mask in service with the U.S. military in all branches, and these were designed to be designed to accommodate virtually any role and things of that nature. But they ended up only pretty much being issued to special forces and air crew and pretty much anyone who could not seal an M40 properly, due to the fact that the face seal on the M45 was distinctly different with a much deeper chin cup than the M40. So people with much longer and deeper chins were issued this mask if they could not seal the M40 properly. The M45, as far as I know, is still in use today sparsely with, again, people who cannot seal the M40 or M50, and it's obviously well in use with air crew. However, this is the Land Warrior variant, which isn't really all that much different than the Air Warrior variant, but there are just a few accessory differences, but which I guess, due to the fact that I'm lacking on my history here, I'll just get right into the kit before I ramble on about stuff I really don't know about. So, starting off, we have the typical C2A1 canister. This would have either been issued with a C2 or a C2A1, doesn't really matter. Most of the accessories here are pretty much standard and are carryover from the M40A1 field protective mask. We have a individual decontamination packet for individual equipment, M295, which is just a big mitt that's treated with chemicals that you're supposed to wipe down your gear with if it's got any sort of chemical contamination on it. You have the skin decontaminating kit, M291, which is, again, pretty standard affair. This is what replaced the M25-8A1 decontamination kits, so not really much to say about that. You have the ABC M8 chemical detector paper, which is used to detect nerve agents on individual equipment and personnel. Nothing really to say about this. This is one of the more modern contracts for M8 detector paper. You got a standard M1 waterproofing bag. Hasn't really changed at all since the Vietnam War. Just, when the mask is at risk of getting damaged by water. You have the manual here, which is pretty much the only one of the few things different from the M40 in terms of accessories, obviously. And it just outlines all the various details you need to know about using the mask and all that good stuff. You have a set of tinted lens outserts here, the neutral gray lens outserts, which I'm not going to open. I'm tempted to, but I'm probably just going to leave them sealed for now, unless I can think of a way to open that packaging without, removing too much of the material. You have a carrier here, which is interesting because this is just a normal M40 carrier marked for an M40. There's nothing really different about it at all. It's just, typical soft shell M40 series carrier. And then you have the mask itself, which is undoubtedly, obviously, what you came here to see, but this is just one of the weirdest U.S. mask designs ever developed. There's just so much unique about this concept that you don't really see a whole lot in a lot of other U.S. masks. It seems pretty basic, and from the exterior, it seems like it's going to feel a lot like an M40, but it's really not. But why don't I just get into it? For one thing, I should mention, this mask is still a silicone mask. It's still made of, it's typical silicone. It's black silicone, but it's a silicone mask nonetheless, and therefore it does need a second skin. The M45 had a whole fuck ton of different second skins and hoods and various things. I have an M45 hood before I got this, but I ended up selling it, so hopefully I can find another M45 hood to have with this kit. All the hardware on the mask, there's virtually no metal hardware on this mask. Pretty much the only metal parts on this mask are the harness buckles and the connector for the microphone port. Other than that, all the hardware on this mask is plastic, and it is what's known as sonic welded plastic, whereas none of the plastic is crimped or it's all molded into place. It's very strange. I don't entirely understand how they did it, but they did. You may notice that I have the clear outserts on the mask already. The outserts are very interesting in that they are snap-on. They do not have a rubber apron to curl over the lens frame assembly. They just have a couple tabs and they snap right on. Like so. It's kind of difficult to do one-handed like this when it's on a head. There we go. Anyways, as you may be able to tell, mine is a size large, indicated by the L stamp here. The M45 is also interesting in the fact that it is probably the first US mask where they stopped putting the US designation stamp on the forehead there. I don't know why they did that, but that's certainly interesting. My example here is a very late example made by Warco in 2006, I believe. Hold on, let me look at that marking. Yeah, 2006, and the second skin is dated 2003. So this is probably my most modern U.S. mask, or probably my most modern mask in general that I own. I don't think I own any other masks that are as current as this one, in all honesty. In terms of design, you have a pair of elliptical-shaped eye lenses that are very similar to the Navy Diaphragm Mark III gas mask from World War II in sort of appearance, but they are very close-fitting to the face, and they offer a very decent peripheral view. They may seem like they don't offer that good of a field of view, but because they're so close to your face, you actually can see very well out of this. It's almost the exact same as a panoramic mask in terms of field of view. You have a central voice emitter on the front here, which does not have any accommodations for a voice projection unit. I know that there is a external ring that could be placed over this that was typically only seen on the SCBA variants of this mask, but yes, this mask does not by default have any accommodations for a voice projection unit, unfortunately. You have a side voice emitter here, which is interesting in that, unlike the older M40 and MCU series masks where it had a separate ring retainer and the actual diaphragm itself, this is all in one piece, where the diaphragm itself is the retainer. It just threads in, similar to the FM12 and the M95 masks with their side diaphragm. So that's interesting. It's probably the only US mask to ever do that, in all honesty. Now on the other side here, you have the inlet valve. And again, all the hardware is sonic welded into the mask. You have the outlet valve here down on the bottom, obviously, with the very long and generous drinking tube, which is very easy to access. You have a microphone port here where if you were using this mask with any sort of communication systems or anything like that, you could just plug the microphone into there, and obviously the microphone would be furnished inside the mask, but unfortunately I do not have a microphone for this mask yet. I may get one in the future, but we will see. Anyways, really nothing much else to mention about the exterior. You have a skull cap improved head harness here, which is, it could have either used this or the standard M40 style head harness. I don't know the designation. Really nothing much else to mention externally. One thing interesting I did notice about the mask's design is that the temple straps have these sort of rubber walls extending the entire length from where it's attached to the mask. I don't know the purpose of this, but it's very interesting. I'd never seen anything really do that. Just a lot of engineering went into this mask for just basically very benign and seemingly pointless features, but this mask is really kind of the opus magnum of U.S. gas mask development, and I would have honestly preferred if this would have gotten adopted over the M50, just it seems to have a whole lot more going for it than the M50, in all honesty. I should also mention this mask was made in 4 sizes: extra small, small, medium, and large. Mine obviously is a large. And the nose cups came in 5 different sizes, apparently, and were interchangeable. The nose cups are the weirdest feature about this mask, in my opinion, and I'll get to that in just a second here, if you give me a moment to undo the head harness and reverse it. It is also probably one of my most trusted masks at this point, personally. Not to say that I'm like expecting to have to use any of my masks, but if I had to use any of them, it's probably my second most trusted mask at this point. It goes from like it goes from my M95 down to this, down to my S10, and that's pretty much the hierarchy of my most trusted masks. But enough about that. Let's get the head harness inverted here to show off the weird feature that is the nose cup. So, looking at it from this angle, you can't really tell much. It doesn't look too out of the ordinary, but the weird thing is this mask has no internal deflector system. There's no TISO tubes. It's just the nose cup. There's not even a deflector on the inlet valve like the M40 had. There's just a metal protector cage, and the idea is that the air will come in and go around the eye lenses, and it will have to enter on this side of the nose cup, because as you can see here, both the nose cup valve discs are on this side of the nose cup. There's accommodations on this side. If this nose cup was punched with the if this mask was designed to have the canister on the right side here, then obviously the nose cup would be swapped out with one where it would have the valve seats sonically welded to the other side. But because this is a right-handed shooting variant with the canister on the left side, obviously the nose cups are going to be on the right side, where the air will enter in through the left and circle over the eye lenses and then finally come into the nose cup on the right side. It's all very complex, but it's very interesting how they did that. Looking down on the outlet valve there, you can see the internal drinking tube, or hopefully you can at least, and then you can see the connector for a internal microphone assembly, which again I do not have. This would be used with a microphone extender, I believe it's called, and then the microphone will be on the end of that, and then you can simply see the outlet valve throughout the bottom there. You can sort of see the crude nature of the sonic welding process on the inside of the voice emitter here. You see a lot of flashes and places where it was heat melded together, but other than that, not too bad. And then other than that, there's really nothing else to see on the inside of this mask. There's a decent bit of dead space, but nothing that the Ornasal Cup didn't fix by having that excellently engineered air chamber system with the nose cups on the side there. Anyways, you can see the inside of the lenses there. Nothing really to see. These masks did have accommodations for optical inserts, but I do not have them. Optical inserts for the M45 are extremely rare, so I'm not going to discuss it any further. There's really nothing else I have much to say about this mask. It just is what it is. This isn't my main field of research, so again, forgive me for not getting a lot of details right, but I really enjoy this mask. It's a very neat design, and some of you may recognize it as being the mask used by the MTF in SCP Containment Breach. I know it's kind of a meme to reference something like that, but nevertheless, that's probably where most people are going to recognize this mask in this day and age. So, without further ado, that's pretty much my opinion on the M45. It's a very nice mask. It honestly should have been adopted despite its flaws and all that. But anyways, so yeah, if you have any comments, questions, corrections, or concerns, drop them in the comments below. I'm Duke Nuka3D, and I will see you all later.